Okay, so in the early 90s you didn't have computers or internet. Well, you did, but I didn't. So in those days I took photographs of what I had and I stuck them in this album. It's not everything, but it's a lot of stuff. So I thought I'd show you this album. So there's my childhood ATST on my windowsill and looking towards the skyline. Some of the micro, what are these called? Micro machines? Yeah, micro machine sets I had and I have shown. Trading cards I had and little photographs. This photograph I took, these are my old vintage figures. So I still have these. And there's the Star Destroyer I built in 1992, the Ertl MPC model. This Greedo is on, it's a Kenner one, but it's got a flash on the picture, unfortunately. So, I mean, in those days it was hit and miss. We were using film in those days. So if you took the picture, that was it. So it's a made in Spain Greedo. The bubble's quite thin, quite slashed on this one, I think, but that was a made in Spain Return of the Jedi Kenner figure. These are the trading cards that were really popular in '93. They're Star Wars Galaxy tops. This Luke is one I showed you recently, maybe last year. It's a Palatoy Luke. Very nice. Dark Horse comics, so these were quite big in the time. First 6 issues of Dark Empire. Power of the Force Princess Leia. Power of the Force 2. Really out of focus picture. That's my Millennium Falcon from childhood. Then a shot I took with some of my figures. Emperor inspecting his troops. These are Tri-Logos, Dengar and FX7. Shown this one recently, like maybe a week ago. Yoda on an Empire Strikes Back 30, I got that about maybe 95, 96, 97, up to cycle all the way to Greenwich to get it. I think I got those two with it as well. Other bits and bobs like applause statues and bits and bobs. Han Solo model kit I made and painted. I think that's Ertl as well. Books I've collected over the years. I mean, in those days you could get them for about 50p each. Bendy figure, Luke Skywalker. My ATST. 2 of my Jedi figures that I bought. I got these around 93, 94, Bosk. I'm sure that bubble's really, if it was that yellow then, you can imagine how yellow it is now. 2-1B, I'm sure that's going to be yellowed. I've got a Rebel Soldier, I looked at that recently and the bubble is so yellowed. These two, I think I showed these two recently. See how clear that R2 was back then? Now it's pretty yellowed, same with the C-3PO. Early issue British VHS. Look at those covers, man. And those are the widescreen versions. My Palatoy R5D4 reseal. A drawing I did in it. Pastel drawing I did in '86. This one I showed you recently. You can tell the bubble was a lot clearer back in those days. This IG88, I'm sure that's a 77 back. That will be quite fairly yellowed now. I've got another one graded maybe 10 years ago. These figures, they're the Micro Machine figures. Quite nice those. TIE Fighter pilot on a Kenner, I'm sure it's a 77 or 65 back. So I'm sure the bubble's yellowed now. The Walrus TIE Fighter Powder Force with the free figure offer. AT-AT Driver Kenner. I showed you a Palatoy version recently. Biker Scout, Kenner, Snow Trooper Palatoy. Oh, I've got these. So here's the. I've shown you this one recently, like last year. That's the 79 back Kenner. Bubble on that is still clear. This is EV 199. When I find this one, I'm sure the bubble will be quite yellowed, unfortunately. And that's the only EV 99 I got. There's that Stormtrooper Takara I showed you, Argentine Stormtrooper. Some other figures, more modern, the Collector Series 12 inches. Imperial Commander on a Palatoy card, so that bubble should be still clear, hopefully. Emperor's Royal Guard, that's going to be definitely yellowed. Look how clear it was then. Palatoy Star Destroyer Commander, he's still clear. British bubble, blister. Some postcards and things. Tri-logo Imperial Gunner, that should still be clear. Some more Power of the Force. Imperial Dignitary, might have 3 of those in Tri-logo. Another scene like a rebel base with my figures. That's how I used to play with them when I was a kid. Korean import on the 95 or 90, whenever that lightsaber, the Luke lightsaber came out. This one I showed recently, the Luke Jedi Knight. Tatty card, but you know. This one I'm showing you today. It's the Meccano miscard Han Solo with the Luke. This thing, European packaging, Han Solo deluxe vehicle. Tri-logo Sam Person. Beautiful combo. Han, second picture. This is one of the first figures I ever bought again. These, I'm showing you this one today. Got Warrock with a Yoda miscard there. And then I showed this in 2010. This is the Han in Carbonite on the Power of the Force card. Showed this one last week, the French Meccano 12 back layer. This will definitely be yellow. This is the Kenner 77 back layer. It's a China figure though. This is nice. This is a Chewbacca with Darth Vader figure signed by Dave Prowse. There's a Chewbacca Power of the Force, bound to be yellow bubble. These 2 I showed recently. There's the Lando with the reverse picture. There's a Lando 77 back, I guess. Bound to be yellowed, unfortunately. Lando Skiff. Palatoy Ben Kenobi, showed that one recently. Tri-logo, showed that maybe last year or the year before. This is the Luke I showed last time. It's the 65 back. Another scene. 2 Luke Power of the Force 95 figures. One's a short saber, one's a long. These gift packs, the Bendham, sorry. A-Wing pilot, showed him recently. You can see how much clearer the bubble was back in the early 90s to what it is now. The Medane, again his bubble's yellowed. Rebel Commando, bubble's going to be yellow. This one, I looked at this one, the bubble's really yellowed, gone very brown, unfortunately. Beautiful card on this Rebel figure, Hoth Rebel Soldier, total shame. Palatoy, card's okay, I mean, bubble's still clear, you know, Palatoy. Vintage Star Wars Weekly comic. Then you got the Rebel Transport Snowspeeder, Millennium Falcon, all the figures I had from childhood. Cool. That's what we used to do, set up a big rebel base and play with them. Back of the Jawa French card, showed that recently. Meccano 12 back card, Kenna 12 back, Argentine 12 back, Empire Strikes Back, Tri-Logo, and Empire Strikes Back again. So that's a out of focus shot. This is a much better shot. Luke Bespin, Brown Hair, Return of the Jedi. Han Solo, Palatoy, Return of the Jedi card. Han Solo, Trench Coat, Tri-Logo. Han Solo, Bespin, Tri-Logo. I think the Tri-Logo Bespins are up on YouTube. Those two are on YouTube. Well, it's not this one, it's a graded version I upgraded. Luke X-Wing, Powder Force, Luke Stormtrooper. Really need to upgrade that figure. This is the Darth Vader Signed to Me by Dave Prowse on the Palatoy card. Palatoy 12 back Sam Person. Some of the books and bits and bobs I've collected over the years. Another scene set up by me. I put Han Bespin in a bubble to make out using the carbonite. This figure I got in Trinidad, which is where my dad's family comes from, so it's a bootleg figure and card. It's the Greedo on the Luke Stormtrooper card. So even when I'm on holiday in Trinidad in the 1990s, then you got this reused Dutch one. I showed this one recently. Greedo there. Horseman 45 back. This is an incredibly common figure, a large bubble. I've got a graded version of this now. Tri-Logo hybrid Snaggletooth. So this is the Return of Jedi front, but it's got the Tri-Logo back. The bubble's really warped. A nice thing to have. Some of my Marvel comics, 107, the hardest one to find. Luke Gunner. I hope that's not gone too yellow. Beautiful card there. It's got a crease in the corner, but beautiful card. Luke X-Wing again. This Boba Fett I showed also recently. It's also quite yellowed. A shot of the ships. There's a Transport, a Falcon and Snowspeeder with my X-Wing, Palatoy X-Wing. Some of the comics, Rancor Keeper, Zizor, other bits and bobs. A drawing of Boba Fett I did this, I think I did this in 92. Some of the episode 1 bits and bobs. Think Ray. The Imperial forces are trying to stop the Millennium Falcon. Group shot of our heroes. Aman, I've shown that one last week. Shadows of the Empire 2-pack, Cloud Car Pilot. The NPC kit. Some of the Marvel comics. Some of the other bits and bobs, books. Another shot, like an Imperial base. Got Int 4, ATST, Emperor's Royal Guard, Speeder Bike, ISP 6, the gun, Snowspeeder. Makes me want to go and dig these all out and play with them again. Great shot of the Falcon, our heroes there. Some of the Droids comics and Ewoks comics. The Emperor arrives. I must have shown this one as well. That's the alternate picture Vader. So I showed that one last week. how I used to keep them in my vintage figures. This is early days when these are probably all the vintage figures I had in those days. Anakin, a Tebow, and Reese. Takara Stormtrooper again. Micro Machines Action Fleet Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, 2 of the die cast in the early iterations. Rebels listening to Admiral Akbar explain how they're going to attack the second Death Star. The Emperor arrives. Some more Micro Machines. Some more magazines. Some of these magazines are vintage, like from the early 70s. I mean mid 70s, late 70s. Some more Monkeys stuff. Big Monkeys fan. So they're finished. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed looking at this sort of, there's a little hologram there as well. Star Wars hologram. Pretty cool. Anyway, hope you enjoyed looking at this. Obviously I was in trouble with the inland revenue there. Right, cheers, goodbye.